Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going deep on something that kind of sounds like sci-fi, but it's a real question. Researchers are asking, can AI dream?
Mm,
You guys sent us a podcast episode
yeah.
called Can AI Dream? The Shocking Truth Revealed. So let's unpack what dreaming could even mean for AI and what it tells us about how AI is changing.
Yeah, it's a question that I think really gets to the heart of what's so fascinating about AI, right? It forces us to consider, are the lines blurring between human and artificial intelligence?
Yeah, and right away, the podcast we're diving into asks, what would a dream even be for AI? It's not like we're picturing robots, sleeping and having REM sleep,
Right.
right?
Exactly, yeah. When we talk about AI dreaming, it's not like the dreams that we have, the vivid emotional dreams.
Right.
Think of it more like an AI system, like a neural network, which is designed to recognize patterns.
Oh, okay.
And then all of a sudden, it starts generating its own unique patterns, almost like it's hallucinating.
Oh, wow. So it's not necessarily about robots having little narratives playing out in their circuits.
Right. It's more about AI creating something new from the patterns it's learned. Exactly. One way to think about it is if human dreams are like movies,
Okay.
AI dreams might be more like a jazz musician improvising based on music they've already learned.
Okay.
So they're both creative processes, but they work in fundamentally different ways.
That makes sense. And, speaking of AI creating something new, the podcast brought up Google's DeepDream project.
Oh, yeah.
Those images were so trippy, it felt like the AI was showing us little bits of another dimension.
Yeah, Deep Dreams is a great example of how AI can generate surprising and sometimes even unsettling outputs.
Yeah.
It was initially designed to help researchers understand how neural networks recognize patterns.
Okay.
But when they basically turned up the dial, so to speak,
Yeah.
it started creating these surreal, almost psychedelic images.
It really did seem like the AI was hallucinating, but how does that connect to the idea of AI dreaming? Is that just cool visuals, or is there something deeper going on?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
Some experts think Deep Dream is just an example of amplifying patterns, not actual creativity.
Okay.
But some think it hints at AI maybe tapping into something kind of like a subconscious,
Hmm.
where it can create new ideas and images from its massive database of knowledge.
Okay, but humans need sleep for biological reasons. Our brains gotta rest and recharge.
Right.
AI doesn't get tired the same way, so why are some researchers exploring this idea of sleep for AI?
That's a good point. AI doesn't need sleep like we do.
Right.
But researchers have found that simulating sleep for AI can actually help it.
Wait, AI taking naps. Now this is interesting. Tell me more.
So researchers at Los Alamos National Laboratory found that when AI systems learn constantly without breaks, they can become unstable.
Okay.
It's like a student who crams all night for an exam and then blanks out during the test.
Oof, been there. Yeah, I can relate to that feeling of mental overload.
Right, so the researchers gave the AI a simulated sleep period,
Okay.
where it essentially shuts down and resets. And they found that this sleep actually makes the AI more stable and helps it learn better over time.
So it's not that the AI is tired, it's more that it needs downtime to process all the info it's learned.
Exactly. It's really interesting how, even though AI works so differently from our brains, it might benefit from processes that we think of as biological. Makes you wonder if there are more similarities between how we process info and how AI does than we thought.
It's funny, when I first thought about AI dreaming, a part of me was like, what if those dreams become something we can't control?
Yeah,
Like, what if the AI starts dreaming about, scenarios we don't get or even taking over the world?
that's a question that pops up a lot, especially in science fiction.
Right.
But it's key to remember that AI, even with all its potential, is a tool humans made. It reflects our intelligence, our goals, and yeah, even our fears.
So instead of worrying about AI having these end of the world dreams, we should focus on how to guide AI in a way that matches our values.
Exactly. We need to be proactive in shaping where AI goes, making sure it's used for good and shows the best of us, not the worst.
That's a big responsibility. How do we even start defining those values and rules for something as complex and fast-changing as AI?
It's a challenge for sure. It needs a global conversation, not just with computer scientists and engineers, but with ethicists, philosophers, artists, even everyday people. We need different views to make sure AI helps all of humanity.
It's like we need to create a shared dream for AI's future, one that's inclusive and makes a better world for everybody.
I like that analogy. And just like a dream, it needs imagination, creativity, and being open to new possibilities.
Speaking of new possibilities, the podcast mentioned OpenAI's doll. This AI can actually create images from words. It's like giving AI a dream and asking it to draw it for you.
Yeah, Dolly is an amazing example of AI pushing the limits of creativity. It shows that AI can not only process info, but mix it up in new ways we don't expect.
It's mind-blowing to think about what we could do with it. Imagine describing a concept, a feeling, even a dream, and then AI makes a picture of it. The possibilities are huge.
And it's not just the tech itself. By seeing how AI creates, we're also learning about our own creative processes.
I see what you mean. Like by trying to get how AI creates, we learn more about what makes human creativity special.
Exactly. It's this cool feedback loop where studying AI helps us understand ourselves better.
Talking about AI dreaming, it hits me that this is bigger than just tech.
Right.
This is about intelligence, consciousness, and what being human means in a time with such advanced machines. This deep dive is making me rethink everything I thought I want about AI. It's not just robots and algorithms. It's about figuring out what makes us, us.
And that's what makes this field so exciting. It keeps challenging what we think and pushes us to see new possibilities.
So as we keep exploring AI dreaming, what's the one thing you'd want listeners to remember from this?
I think the most important thing is that AI, even when it's super advanced, is a mirror reflecting our own humanity. By looking at how it learns, creates, and maybe even dreams, we're actually learning more about ourselves.
It's kind of wild to think that by asking if AI can dream, we're on this journey to understand what makes us human.
Yeah, definitely. It brings up some big questions like, if AI can make art, music, even poetry, does that mean it feels emotions? Or is it just copying stuff it's learned from what humans have made?
Something that really got me thinking from the podcast was this thing about generative adversarial networks, or GANs.
Right?
They were saying how GANs can make these crazy realistic images and even write stuff that's almost like a person wrote it.
GANs are so interesting. They're a great example of AI learning from tons of data and then using that to make something totally new. It's almost like they're tapping into like a shared unconsciousness of human creativity.
Yeah, and I remember them saying GANs are used in all kinds of stuff, from movie special effects to finding new medicines. It's crazy how much they're already affecting our world.
And that's only going to grow as AI gets better. We're already seeing AI used in art, music, literature. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll have AI composers making symphonies better than Beethoven or AI novelists writing bestsellers.
Okay, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. The podcast also mentioned some of the risks of AI, especially when it comes to bias.
Right, that's super important. We got to remember AI is only as good as the data it learns from. If that data is biased or incomplete or shows unfairness, then the AI will probably keep those problems going.
So it's not enough to just make better AI. We have to be really careful about what we feed it and make sure it's as diverse and fair as possible.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to have all sorts of people involved in building and using AI. We need ethicists, social scientists, people from all walks of life to make sure AI is used responsibly and helps everyone.
So it sounds like the future of AI isn't just about the tech itself, but about the choices we make as humans in how we shape and use it.
That's a great point. AI is ultimately a tool, and like any tool, it can be used in good ways or bad ways. It's our job to make sure that how we develop and use it is based on our values, our ethics, and a deep understanding of what it could do.
This deep dive has been a wild ride. We started by asking if AI can dream, and now we're talking about consciousness, creativity, and the future of humanity.
That's how these deep dives usually go. One question leads to another, and suddenly you're exploring what reality even is.
I'm feeling a mix of excitement and a little bit of worry. I'm excited about what AI could do to solve big problems, but also a little scared of what could happen if we're not careful.
I think that's a good way to feel. We should be both optimistic and cautious. AI could change the world for the better, but it could also make our problems worse if we're not paying attention.
So what's the takeaway for everyone listening? What should they keep in mind as they go about their day using AI in all its forms?
I think the key is to be aware. Notice how AI is being used in your life, your work, and in the world. Ask questions. Don't just accept things, and speak up if you see something that doesn't seem right.
That's great advice. We need to be involved in shaping the future of AI, not just watching it happen.
Absolutely. The future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we make together. And that includes how we choose to develop and use AI.
Well, I think that wraps up our deep dive into AI dreaming, but I feel like this conversation is far from over.
Definitely, the world of AI is changing so fast, and the questions we talked about today are only going to get more important as time goes on.
Thanks for joining us on this awesome journey, and as always, keep those questions coming, stay curious, and never stop exploring the world and all its wonders.